And then honestly, not exaggerating, he claims that Tiger Woods' adultery and affairs was what made him a killer on the golf course. What? So I recently read the book Relentless by Tim Grover, who's an athletic trainer who famously worked with Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Dwayne Wade. There's no doubt he's a fantastic athletic trainer. The proof is in the caliber of those just mentioned. And look, you can't argue with the career success that he's had. And so like a lot of other people, I thought I'd read his book so that I can learn some of the strategies and techniques that he uses in order to get the best out of those he works with. But there's one problem. His book is awful. Honestly, it's probably one of the worst books I've ever read in my entire life. So let's break down Relentless and show you why it's a terrible framework for success. So a quick background on Grover. He's got a bachelor's degree in kinesiology and a master's degree in exercise science. So basically he's an expert in how the human body moves. And so the first problem with the book is that it ends up being framed as a mindset manual, typical self-help shite, and the guy's got no credentials in psychology. Again, he's probably found a way of getting into the minds of those that he's trained, but even if he has, he's offered nothing of psychological use in his book, whether that's theory or practical tips. There's literally no sharing of any psychological strategies that he used on or with these MVPs that he trained. The whole purpose of the book is that those people who are relentless, in other words unstoppable, are known as cleaners as opposed to coolers and closers. And so cooler is basically, in Grover's eyes, a chump, someone who doesn't want to take the big shot and has no desire to, sort of stretch themselves further than their existing capabilities. And then you've got closers who are good at what they do and they will sometimes step up to the big moment, but it's on their terms and when they're in full control of the situation. And then you've got cleaners who, if you read the whole book, you'll realise are basically sociopaths. People who use their dark side, which we'll come onto shortly, but essentially cleaners are people who want to be feared and apparently just want to get back to work the second they achieve anything. And so the rest of the book is all about drawing out these distinctions between the three C's, and Grover does this by interweaving really random anecdotes about the people that he's trained and also random other athletes. And they don't really even align to the points that he's trying to make, and they sometimes just feel really forced. And in some cases, they also just end up contradicting one another. And so here are a few examples. Okay, so when Grover's talking about achievements and celebrations, this is what he has to say. A cooler is the first to arrive at the celebration and the last to leave. A closer will make an appearance, then go out with his own crew. A cleaner just wants to get back to work. Bloody hell. But then he directly contradicts himself by saying you don't have to love the work, you're just addicted to the results. If you're addicted to the results, then surely that means you're chasing the high of the achievement and you would want to then celebrate it when you reach it. And he also states that cleaners don't celebrate their achievements because they always want more. Yes, the very best always want more, but they do take the time to celebrate when they do achieve something. Just think of the iconic photos of MJ and Kobe with the NBA trophy. It's this weird masochistic attitude that just sounds miserable. Like, you're on the road the entire year, you're barely seeing your friends and family, win the NBA title, and then what, you're not supposed to celebrate with them? It's probably the happiest night of your life, and what, you're going to say to your family, piss off, I'm not going for dinner with you, I'm heading back to the gym. Really? Come on, Jesus. And so another one of these distinctions that Grover makes, this one's priceless. Coolers will eat whatever you feed them. Closers will order what they want and be satisfied with a great meal. It doesn't matter what a cleaner eats, he'll still be hungry again in an hour. Oh, give me strength, Tim. Give me strength. F***ing hell. Like, what? What does that even mean? Reading that, I personally want to be a closer. It sounds like they ordered the best thing off the menu. Like, I don't want to be hungry again in an hour. Like, the only thing I'm hungry for is some useful information. This is what you're giving us, Tim. Like, come on. What is this? But the worst thing about this book is just this belief that you have to be void of any emotion whatsoever because it's a weakness. And instead you have to embrace what Grover calls the dark side. Oh, God. So one of the rules of being a cleaner is that you've got this dark side that refuses to be good. And to explain this, he uses this really badly thought out analogy about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, that we've all got this dark side where we completely release all our inhibitions and we're capable of doing really animalistic things. And then he claims that any person who's ever had any major power in society has gotten to that point because they've learned to embrace this dark side. And then honestly, not exaggerating, he claims that Tiger Woods' adultery and affairs was what made him a killer on the golf course. What? Fucking hell. And then this is the real kicker. I don't know how on earth Grover thought this was okay to run, or let alone his publisher, but this is a direct quote about the Tiger Woods scenario. I have to be honest, as someone who has known and liked Tiger for a long time, I didn't want to see that apology. I wanted to see him say nothing in public and show up ready to fight another day. So the point Grover's trying to make here is that your dark side, which makes you relentless, will fade away unless you just say to whatever happens to you, so what? Yeah, so the most famous athlete in the world at the time who ended up cheating on his wife with over 120 women should just turn around and say, so what? Try telling that to his wife, his kids, his friends, all these people who are traumatized and horrified by his actions and the shame that it brought on them as well. Just, yeah, turn around and say, so what? No biggie. Throughout the book, Grover is all about telling people to take full responsibility of their lives and everything that happens to them and the mistakes they make, whatever. But you can't turn around and apologise for sleeping with 120 women behind your wife's back. Okay, fair enough. And the irony is, a couple of pages before talking about this Tiger Woods scenario, this is what Grover has to say. He says, the dark side isn't about taking stupid risks and getting in trouble. What the do you call what Tiger Woods was doing then? So at that point, I just lost any last shred of expectation I had for this book, because all it does is advocate an absolute train wreck of an attitude where it's completely fine to ruin everyone's lives around you for your own personal success. And then to top it all off, when he's talking about this Tiger Woods scenario, Grover also talks about a story involving Charles Barkley, and he uses it as a reference point for how Tiger Woods should have responded, basically. And so he says, like my friend and client Charles Barkley, who threw a guy through a plate glass window in an Orlando nightclub after the jackass threw ice at him. After the judge dropped the charges, she asked Charles whether he had learned anything from the experience. Yes, he said. I shouldn't have thrown him through the first floor window. I should have taken him to the third floor window and finished the job from there. Come on. And then Grover straight after that, 2 words, no apologies. No apologies. And then he goes on to say that Tiger Woods should have adopted the same attitude when he was having all those affairs. Thing is, Charles Barkley, as much as he was a bit of a nutter, I'm pretty sure he was kind of joking there, but Grover clearly can't see it. He genuinely thinks that Barkley would have been in his right to murder someone. And honestly, from reading this, I don't think Grover's the type of guy who can take a joke. I imagine, unless it's at someone else's expense, unless it's someone like suffering, you know, instead of normal sports fans watching sports bloopers and laughing away, the only time I could imagine him laughing is watching like compilations of worst leg breaks in sport. I mean, the guy is insane. He's insane. But seriously, if you think this stuff is inspirational, motivational, or the pathway to success, then be my guest and have a read of Tim Grover's book yourself. And I keep mistaking myself by saying it's his book because it's not. He didn't even write it. He used a ghostwriter. It's on the front cover, Shari Lesser Wenk. So, Tim, if you're watching, here's 3 C's for you. Coolers, hire someone else to write a really crap book for them. Closers, have a go themselves and write something half decent. Cleaners, learn to write properly and actually write something of practical value to the reader. Okay? And back to you as the viewer, if you do actually want to read some books on high performance that are actually backed by scientific literature and actually have practical tips that are of actual use, then I'll leave some up on the screen for you. You can check those out. I hope that's been helpful. Sorry if I was ranting, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.